Joe Biden falls asleep during the COP26 speeches, so we'll talk just a bit about that. The trial begins. Kyle Rittenhouse sees what jury is going to sit here and judge him, and we talk about some of the things that went on throughout the beginning of the day, and we'll talk just a bit about what I saw when I was down there as well, because I went down there, walked around, and saw everything else that was going on through the area, so we'll talk just a bit about that. Terry McAuliffe and Glenn Youngkin square off. Today is the day that you can go out and vote, so if you are in Virginia, go out and make sure that you vote your conscience, your heart, and vote for what it is you want to see out of Virginia. So we will talk just a bit about some of the last things that are coming out of that. And Joe Manchin has torpedoed the budget reconciliation bill. And by the way, that's just the first half of the show. It's going to be all this and much, much more over here. Let's go, Brandon. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, Edheads, and welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar, and we have got a full plate of news here for the morning here. We're going to be talking about Rittenhouse. We'll be talking about some of the stuff I saw at Kenosha. We will come back and we will talk just a bit about some of the things that are happening with the budget. American Airlines, and much, much more over here on Contemporary. It's a big one. It's going to be quite a full one here, but we're going to try and get through it all, and I don't know if we're going to or not. But man, some of this stuff just popped up here overnight. I just found out about the fact that Biden took a nap. Golden Leaf did a massive document dump in the Discord before we started, and I am going to save all that for tomorrow because, man, did we ever have a full show already coming up here for today. So let's get down to it, let's get into it, and let's get started here. But before we do, let's make sure that you guys go over and check out the webpage, turnsofpagesproductions.com. We are still working on getting some funding up for that site, but it is there, and while you are there, you can go check out great programs such as the Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, The Freckles and Brick Show, and The Porch Boys. Stephen Ignoramus will be on The Porch Boys tonight, and a special thank you to him as well for coming on and helping me out last night as well. It was a great show. I always have a lot of fun with Stephen Ignoramus. We premiered the new opening music that will be coming up for season 4 of the Monday show, which we will be tentatively deciding what that's going to be called coming up at the time. So the new music is here for that. That's going to be a good time here. If we do have to part ways, which will be lame, I will stay right on the record and say, if we do have to part ways, it will be lame. But if we do have to part ways, I am in the works on picking up another regular co-host here. Somebody that you guys all know and are familiar with, somebody I very much enjoy working with, and somebody who I think will do good work. But, you know, there are some extenuating family circumstances in her life too, where we can't just come out and say, hey, can you do this? There might be a time change also, if this person is the person who comes aboard. We might have to shift this back half an hour, so it might be Mondays at 6 p.m. rather than Mondays at 5:30. But those are things that we will pay attention to. Those are things that we will go with as we go along with here. But do check out the website, check out those shows. And also, by the way, go check out the GoFundMe. GoFundMe.com/F/help launch Turn Some Pages. Let me get that up in the chat for you guys. And if you guys do want to help out or can help out in any way possible, please do. That'll help us get up off the ground here. I do need to go in and pay an invoice off of that and make sure that everything else is square up with that. And go and, you know, we've got the money out here now, and I'll get some hosting off the website here, so that's another thing off my plate. But yeah, let's definitely go in and check that out. If you can throw $1 at it, if you can throw a $5 at it, you don't have to be as generous of a donor as our first donor, but every little bit helps. Every little bit helps us get going, and all of the donations that come to this channel via Twitch, not by DLive just because of the way that the exchange works on the lemons, but via Twitch, via Buy Me a Coffee, anything else comes out of my account and goes straight into this. So anything you do to help this channel right now is helping out TurnSomePagesProductions.com. So please do. Please come on and help us out, help us get this started, and help us get going. All right. Let's start in with the finance for the morning here. Starting with the Dow. The Dow was up again yesterday, technically. It crashed back down and it fell back below its opening again, but it came back up, rode roller coaster throughout the rest of the day, and wound up 0.25% up at 35,913.84. It did hit intraday 35,981.66, so almost up to the 36,000 mark. Not quite there, but almost up to that 36,000 mark. So we will watch the rest of the markets here, see where they go and see where everything lands. But that's where the markets went throughout the day. And the NASDAQ and S&P looked very similar to this as we went through. Your Bitcoin, after a refresh, is at $63,194 US dollars and 10 US cents. That is up overnight by about 2,000. Which is cool. It looks like my SHIB is actually climbing too. I bought the SHIB, and then it started to drop. I've got $25 worth of SHIB, and it is down to $21.47, but it got all the way down to $17.91. So we'll see where that goes and what happens with that. I mean, if SHIB goes anywhere close to what Dogecoin did, well, let me just say I'm probably not going to be shilling for the website anymore. Because with the amount of SHIB that I have, if it gets up to 35 cents a coin, I'm not going to sit on that one forever like I am for Doge. Let me just put it that way. But that's what we see coming back up out of that. Let's get into the movers and shakers over here on IBD and see what happened with that. Dow Jones futures rally as Tesla skids on Elon Musk tweet vehicle recall from Scott Letonen. Dow Jones futures were higher early Tuesday. After the stock market rally hit record levels Monday, Tesla surged to all-time highs, and Mosaic, NXP Semiconductor, and Zoom Info were three earnings movers after the close. Highleaf, just because I had a full plate, I wasn't able to get to all of, or pretty much any of them that you put in there overnight here, because we were already up at some of this. And yes, Highleaf is in the Discord, and I think he put like 13 in there. But I already had 30 articles up here at the time that he did that, so we'll probably cover a lot of that tomorrow. On Monday, the Dow Jones Industrial Average moved up 0.3%, the S&P 500 rose 0.2%, while the Nasdaq led the way, rising 0.6%. Among the Dow Jones leaders, Apple declined 0.6%, while Microsoft lost 0.7% in today's stock market. American Express, Goldman Sachs, and JP Morgan Chase continue to trade near their new buy points in the current rally. Tesla surged 8.5% on Monday to hit more record highs. Among the companies reporting earnings, Mosaic, NXP Semiconductor, and Zoom Info reported earnings after the close on Monday. Back to the top we go! Among the top stocks to buy and watch, Albemarle? Wasn't that what they said in that really weird episode in the first season of Deep Space Nine? No, that wasn't Albemarle, that was Illumarine! Alphabet and ServiceNow are in or near buy zones. On your futures, ahead of the stock market open on Tuesday, Dow futures rose 0.1% versus fair value, while the S&P 500 inched higher. Nasdaq 100 futures lost 0.2% versus fair value, so we got a little bit of mix in the futures, depending on where the tech goes and where the industrials go. Also, keep in mind it's heating season, so some of your industrials are going to be affected by what the temperature is outside and what the utilities do to go along with that. So there's a few things that are moving with this. Remember, trading in Dow Jones futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. Among the exchange-traded funds, Innovator IBD 50 moved up 1.2%. Nasdaq 100 tracker Invesco QQQ Trust gained 0.4%, and the SPDR S&P 500 ETF ascended 0.2%. The stock market rally strengthened further Monday as the Dow Jones Industrial Average, Nasdaq, and S&P 500 notched more all-time highs. The Dow 30 briefly topped the 36,000 level before closing beneath it. On Monday, the Big Picture commented, Nasdaq holds a quarter-to-date gain of 7.9%. That's equally respectable. Credit this gain in large part to strengthen the chip, business, software, automotive, retail, and financial sectors of the market. The S&P 500 has advanced 7.1%. With the Nasdaq at all-time highs and a limited amount of distribution, investors should remain bullish on the positive trend in the market. So investors should be looking for new buying opportunities to incrementally increase market exposure. And like always, be disciplined about your purchases, don't chase extended stocks, and be sure to cut losses after sell signals. So, a few things moving off of this, and that's a part of this, is if there's going to be a strength in the chip and business software market, that means that we are going to see another big rise off of this as the supply chain issues go back up. Especially if people go back in and start buying new cars. However, do keep in mind that this is also the Christmas season, and your new car and even used car sales drop off at this point because people are saving up and buying Christmas gifts. That's actually part of the reason I bought both trucks, the last two trucks that I bought, when I bought them, because everybody in the dealership environment at the time was itching to make a deal. And I bought them both. I signed the paperwork on both of them on the 13th of January, 3 years apart. In what the hell did I buy my truck? 2017? Yeah, January 13th, 2017. And then January 13th of 2020 as well. And in both cases, sales were down because of the Christmas season. It was just after New Year's, and both salesmen were itching and eager to go make a deal and make some of that sweet, sweet commission. So go back. I wouldn't expect to see much strength and much rebound up into the automotive market coming in for about the next month or so, with Thanksgiving feasts that you need to buy that are going to be more expensive, Christmas gifts that are going to be more expensive, that are going to be on supply shortages. Yeah, we'll see where the markets go and what happens with this. I know that retail is going to start picking up here in the next couple months too, so let's go on with that. Let's grab one from Market Insider. U.S. stock futures flatline after Dow tops 36,000 as investors brace for a likely Fed taper. From Harry Robertson. That's the other thing that's going to weigh on this as we go. U.S. stock futures were a little changed on Tuesday, but a day after the Dow Jones briefly topped 36,000. U.S. stock futures hit a pause on Tuesday after equities rose to a record high in the previous day as investors braced for a Federal Reserve meeting that is likely to deliver a key policy decision. S&P 500 and Dow Jones futures were a little changed on Tuesday, while the NASDAQ 100 futures were down 0.12%. U.S. stocks continued their march higher on Monday with all three major indices closing at records, and the Dow Jones briefly topping 36,000. A strong third quarter earnings season has supported equities, helping investors brush off concerns about inflation and the central bank policy. So they're telling us that, and both articles did tell us that the Dow topped 36,000. According to the chart that I saw, it just missed it by like 13 points. So I'm not sure where to go off of this, and part of that is Google, so keep that in mind as well. A strong third quarter earnings season has supported equities, helping investors brush off concerns about inflation and central bank policy. On Tuesday, oil major BP posted a huge year-on-year jump in profit on the back of high global energy prices and says it would buy back an extra $1.25 billion worth of shares, thus inflating their share price even more, by the way. Earnings season continues this week with Berkshire Hathaway and Pfizer among the major companies releasing results. Aside from earnings, investors will be focused on the Federal Reserve and the Bank of England as they announce monetary policy this week, with both central banks grappling with a surge in inflation. The Fed could well announce it will start tapering its $120 billion a month of bond purchases on Wednesday, and the Bank of England is expected to raise interest rates on Thursday, with the U.S. expecting to raise interest rates in about March of next year, which is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And once again, I think the millennials are going to get screwed over and over and over again, especially those looking to buy their first homes. But we will see what happens with that and where that goes. That's what we're seeing up off the markets. Let's look in at the copper prices, because I put that in at the very end for whatever reason. Copper is down $3.31 a pound. Aluminum is down to 62 cents a pound, so that 67 cents a pound that we saw on the average was a short one, that's for sure. And steel is up to 197 a ton. Insulated copper wire is up. All the rest of your copper plates are down. BX steel is up. Brass is down. Light iron is down. Number one steel is down. But cast and a complete car are both up, and they're holding this up. So is shreddable steel and stainless steel. On your aluminum, rims got up to 74 cents a pound. Sheet aluminum is up to 51 cents. But everybody else is tapering back off, including cans that were also approaching 70 cents a pound. So that's what we're seeing coming off of this, as I think we go into a season where some people are not going to be doing as much industrial anymore, but we will continue to watch this. Let's start off with the big news of the day and the title card for this episode. From LBC, leading Britain's conversation to start off with. Joe Biden caught taking a micro nap as he listens to COP26 speeches. From Will Taylor. Joe Biden has been filmed apparently resting his eyes. Yeah. That's what we always said when great grandma was sitting in the chair in the middle of a conversation, just falling asleep. Oh, I was just resting my eyes. And I could see Biden too if they come in. Oh, no, I promise I was paying attention. I was just resting my eyes. He was seen with his arms folded, his eyes closed repeatedly, before finally shutting them for around 20 seconds. A man then comes over to speak with him before the 78-year-old leader reopens his eyes, replies, then decides to sit forward and applaud at the end of the speech. Biden appears to fall asleep during the COP26 opening speeches, the Washington Post's Zach Purser-Brown said, publishing the footage earlier. The video will be gold dust to his critics who have questioned his preparedness for the rigors of the presidency given his age.
Disabled and non-disabled all around the world, I call on you to commit to concrete actions to stop the destruction of this magnificent planet. This conference is one of the most important meetings in history.
And there he goes.
To make decisions and reach agreements which will affect the lives of the generations to come. You are in a position of extraordinary power. You can change forever the trajectory we are on. You can make a world that is once again full of hope, not fear. This is my message from Earth to COP. On behalf of we the 15,
Mr. Biden, you can't sleep during the COP26.
please help us to guarantee
Mr. President, no, you have to wake up.
every life, regardless of their ability.
Oh no, I was just resting my eyes, man. Come on. He was referred to derisively by his predecessor, Donald Trump, as Sleepy Joe, the sleepiest presidential candidate, and it has nothing to do with the fact that he likes to sniff kids, and it sounds like Creepy Joe. It's definitely Sleepy Joe, okay? Among a raft of other names that he would use for his political enemies. Scores of Twitter users took the opportunity to criticize the president, with many using Mr. Trump's insult. Well, he literally is sleeping. He is literally Sleepy Joe. During the election campaign, Mr. Biden released his medical records, which showed that he was in good health, something that was attributed to his decision not to smoke or drink instead of work out for at least 5 days a week. It comes at the start of crucial UN climate talks in Glasgow, in which it is hoped world leaders will iron out agreements that will keep the world's temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. You poor, sweet summer children. You think that you can go against what a planet does for its temperature? You have deluded yourself. Key British figures, including Boris Johnson, Prince Charles, David Attenborough, spent Monday trying to convince countries to act. And we'll be talking about Prince Charles later on here too, so he's not going to get out of this either. Thank you, MK Ultra, for the video that we'll be watching later when we talk about finance and the budget reconciliation. According to this, and according to other sources that I saw that I didn't specifically cite in this, it wasn't just Biden either that fell asleep during this, so I'm going to attribute this less to his age and more to the fact that the speeches were incredibly fucking boring. Because Boris Johnson also fell asleep, apparently, allegedly, briefly, during all of this. I don't know if it was the same speech. I think it was actually a little bit later on in the proceedings, but I mean, we're sitting here, we're listening to the same speeches over and over and over and over and over again. You are bad because you want to drive a car. You are bad because you want to feed a family and you want to have beef and not live in the pod. You want to actually own a house and property and till the property. You are bad for that. You are bad because you want to transport goods. And I don't know how many times you can come back and listen to this, but there are also rigors to the presidency that Mr. Biden can clearly not handle. I mean, do we want to see this same guy in the middle of in the Situation Room doing the same thing here? Is that something you're comfortable with? It's not something I'm comfortable with, that's for sure. But that is where we are coming out of LBC. Let's see what Fox News has to say about this one. NBC News reporter says Biden's apparent nap is a political obstacle, reminds viewers that he keeps long hours. From Brian Flood. An NBC News reporter worked to find excuses Monday for President Biden's apparent catnap during speeches at the 2021 United Nations Climate Change Conference. Yeah, we'll be hearing from the propaganda from NBC here in just a second, too. So, Biden, who warned military service members this summer that top Pentagon officials consider climate change to be the greatest threat to America's national security in the coming years, sat with his arms crossed, looking like he was drifting in and out of sleep in a viral video shared by Washington Post reporter Zach Purser-Brown. MSNBC host Andrea Mitchell welcomed NBC News senior White House reporter Kelly O'Donnell to her program to explain what happened in that video, and also featured Biden wiping his eyes. He was seen on camera with his eyes closed. It appeared that perhaps he was dozing, O'Donnell told viewers. In these settings, cameras were all around. The camera caught President Biden, who turns 79 later this month, with his eyes closed for a period of time, and you're right. These can be embarrassing situations. O'Donnell added to the liberal MSDNC audience that Biden has stressed the importance of the climate change meetings and that might have put him to sleep. A moment like that in session can be a political obstacle, O'Donnell said before attempting damage control. And here's the deal. Here's what's going on with this. And I'm not even going to go with the Orange Man argument. I'm going to go with the any other president in the world. Bill W. Barack H.W. Thank you for dying, H.W. Reagan. If this had been any other official president in the world, we'd be having the cognitive decline argument. But people like those on MSDNC have to be able to justify the fact that they carried water for this guy for his entire campaign. And even before everybody was outside of the field, they were carrying water for this. This was their guy. And I've made my theories as to why this was their guy. I've made those very, very well known. But this was their guy. Now they have to come back and defend this. They need to come back and stand for this. Just like the MAGA people, when the former president did something stupid, like Covfefe. Just like when he did something like that, or when he said something stupid, like hamburgers or something, they had to go back and justify the fact that they voted for the guy as well. It goes both ways, but this is MSDNC and the mainstream media coming out here and begging you, just don't pay attention to the obvious cognitive decline of our president because we told you to vote for him. And we would never lie to you. We would never do something for our own personal interests. And yes, this is a political obstacle too, by the way. And honestly, for those who are coming out here and begging the Orange Man to come back and run again, this is a political obstacle for him too. It really is. On top of the fact that Mr. Biden is in cognitive decline and Mr. Trump seems to be in better mental spirits than Mr. Biden is, do keep in mind that if President Trump runs again in 2024, he will be the same age as Biden was when he entered the race in 2020. So there is going to be that weighing on him, and God forbid Biden die in office. That's going to make it almost impossible for Trump to run. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to make it nearly impossible for him to do so. I mean, he's going to try anyway, but that's going to make it nearly impossible because we will have the conversation about how old is too old to be in office. Speaking of Biden, I found this interesting. I found this going through the news yesterday, and I thought that you guys would enjoy this. NBC News. Gun dealers sell parts and ammo using anti-Biden meme, "Let's go Brandon." There is the Palmetto State Armory Special Edition stripped lower receiver for the AR style. Now this, I don't know if you can actually use this to put a gun together because this appears to have select fire. And I don't know what the legality is behind that, but we see the image over here with the NASCAR checkered flag and President Biden up there. Let's go 15 multi-Brandon 000000 from Palmetto State Armory, West Columbia, South Carolina. And on the safety, it says Joe. On the single, it says fuck. And on the full auto, it says Biden. which is why I don't know if this is actually saleable or not, because it does have a full auto option, even though it is just a strip lower. I don't know what the regulation is behind that, actually. This is from Ken Dillanayan. Gun dealers are marketing weapons, parts, and ammunition using a right-wing slogan widely understood as a code for profanity directed at President Biden. Palmetto State Armory, which operates 12,000 square foot gun store in Columbia, South Carolina, the state capital, is marketing a Let's Go 15 strip lower receiver, which is a part meant for an AR-style rifle. The product description on the company's website says the fire selector on the weapon part features 3 modes: fuck, safe, oh, I guess I had them backwards, Joe, fire, and Biden, full auto. Love how PSA is in touch with the current Let's Go branded situation, says one of the comments below the product description. More than half of America and other parts of the world are chanting, the current administration is destroying our country. The company did not respond to NBC News' request for comment. A spokesperson for the U.S. Secret Service, which investigates threats against the president, declined to comment. Yeah, NBC, and by the way, this is just a little shorty here, but NBC went to the Secret Service because they were so appalled by the fact that this fucking thing exists. Apparently it's a blank spot, 2 pins, not automatic. Yeah, I don't know enough about receivers. I've just bought my guns complete. So I've never done a receiver or built one. So I don't know, unfortunately. I'd like to do that at one point here, but we've got some other things that we've got to pay for first, before I start building AR-style rifles. But thank you for that little bit of information. At least 2 other firms in other states, Culper Precision and My Southern Tactical, are advertising an AR-15 magazine for sale with a Let's Go branded sticker. The companies did not immediately respond to requests for comment. They went to the Secret Service. Oh shit, there's more. Oh yes, this is just explaining why Let's Go Brandon is such a threat against the president. It's a threat! They put Let's Go Brandon on an AR receiver. It's a threat! It's a threat! They put Biden's name on the receiver. It's a threat! Secret Service! Come here! You know, whereas with Kathy Griffin holding up a severed Trump head, and these same people out here, especially at NBC, try to come out and defend it. And yes, she did get a visit from the Secret Service as well. But, yeah, kind of want one, but I don't have an AR-style rifle to get it. Alright, let's talk Rittenhouse. So, those of you who follow this channel know that I went down there and actually did do a little bit of on-the-ground stuff yesterday. It was interesting, nonetheless. I learned what the Pan-Africa flag is, or the Pan-Africa American flag, also, which is an American flag that is recast in the colors black, green, and red. Didn't know that. That was kind of interesting. I saw that for the first time. There was a small protest outside the courthouse. The jury apparently is not going to be sequestered until deliberation. So if they do decide to come back out and do a bigger protest, the people who are going to be coming out and going back and forth in between are going to be walking through a crowd, which the protest might grow. It was just a few people for jury selection. It was like, there were like 12 people standing outside the courthouse. But there's no autonomous zone. None of the buildings, unless they're doing it for virtue signal points, none of the buildings down there have the plywood in there. There are a few still up there that have plywood in the windows because they want to keep the graffiti up and they feel like taking the graffiti down is going to be hate speech. And they also have their "We stand with Kenosha, please don't burn our business down, BLM" up in their windows. But for the most part, I mean, there's not a lot of tension in the air. We saw a lot of news crews outside. We saw a lot of protesters. A guy without a camera tried to interview me to make sure that I had the right politics, and I shook him off of this. But from what I understand and from what I heard from other people after the fact, because I didn't watch any of the coverage, looking in at this is going to go in a very, very base direction, and we will see what happens with the trial by jury at the end of it. No, I did not talk to that one dude. I did not find him. And I made an honest, real life honest effort to go find him after I came back up the street, after I turned the camera off. I promise. I made an honest effort to go find him. But reading from the New York Post, Kyle Rittenhouse murder trial begins over fatal shootings of Kenosha protesters. From Jackie Sallow. Kyle Rittenhouse apparently struggled to stay alert as jury selection got underway Monday in his murder trial in Kenosha, Wisconsin for shooting 2 people to death and wounding a third during a Black Lives Matter protest. Rittenhouse, 18, let out a yawn in court as lawyers from both sides attempted to seat prospective jurors who haven't made up their minds about the triple shooting. He is facing 7 charges, including homicide in the fatal shootings of Rosenbaum and Hoomer, as well as attempted homicide for wounding Gage Grosskreutz, 27. Judge Bruce Schrader repeatedly stressed that jurors must come to a verdict solely on what they hear in the courtroom, cautioning this is not a political trial. Yeah, that's bullshit. And I like Judge Schrader too, by the way. I really like Judge Schrader. But we all know that that is bullshit. This is a political trial. This is 100% a political trial. It was mentioned by both political campaigns and the presidential campaign last year, in some instances very, very imprudently, he said. The jurist told the prospective jurors that inaccurate information has been shared by people who don't know what you are going to know. There he is, getting wanted as he comes in and frisked, yawning during this. There's his sister coming in here, and his mom. Those of you who are selected for this jury are going to hear for yourselves the real evidence in this case. Several people in the jury pool, however, said they had already made up their minds. Among those dismissed was a man who said that he was there when all that happened at the site of the protest, as well as another man who said he had been commenting consistently on news feeds and the Facebook about the unrest in the city. Rittenhouse opened fire as riots erupted in the city on August 25, 2020, following the police shooting a few days earlier of Jacob Blake, who is a saint, who did absolutely nothing wrong, but he was left paralyzed from the waist down by being shot by an evil white cop. Persecutors are expected to argue that Rittenhouse traveled to Kenosha seeking out conflict. Well, see, in a trial like this, if the persecutors are going to argue that Rittenhouse traveled to Kenosha seeking out conflict, that makes this a political trial. That absolutely makes this a political trial, because that doesn't matter. Why he was there doesn't matter. What matters is whether or not the shots that he fired and the situation that he was in were offensive or defensive. Or at least that's what it would do in a just world. Of course, this is not a just world, and this is going to be a political trial. There's the skateboard dude and Gage Grosskreutz with the gun in his hand, by the way. Let me see if I can blow that up a little bit. And his paramedic hat with a gun in his hand. Right there, you can see it. You remember he wished he would have killed Rittenhouse? The defense has argued that Rittenhouse, who claims he traveled to the city to protect a business, feared for his life in each encounter. And that's going to be the most important situation of this. It's not going to be... Oh, cool. The New York Post is going to show us the video. Which will probably get us age restricted, by the way. Yeah, there it goes. Once again. Hey, look. It's like I was just down there the other day. Man, all this looks familiar. Hands up, just like I said. I might have been a little bit further south than I thought I was, though. Than I thought I should have been, now that I'm looking at the video again. I might have been off while I was covering last night. Because it looks like he was probably about a block further north than what I thought. But that's where we're coming off of this here. And yeah, the evidence comes off of this. And I am interested to see what evidence does come back out of this. What evidence we do see off of this that the judge assures us that we haven't seen in the video. Because that does seem to be the biggest source of information for people around the country is what we just saw in that video right there when he was running up there, about to get hit by a skateboard and rolled back up. But that's what we see coming off of that, and, well, we'll see more of this coming up here. Let's grab one from a local station here, from WISN 12. Legal analysis, day 1 of the Kyle Rittenhouse trial.
And every night, our legal expert, Craig Mastantuono, will join us with analysis of what happened in court. And we're going to start with the quest to find an impartial jury. Let's listen to this exchange in court today.
Is there anybody who hasn't read or heard anything about this case?
So, no one answered, meaning they've all had some exposure to the case, yet after one day, Craig, the jurors have been chosen. Is there a concern that this all happened too fast?
I'm sure both attorneys, or the attorney sides, have some concerns, because after a day, we don't really know, we haven't really gotten down to the bottom of what the jurors were exposed to, what it caused them to think or feel. And there wasn't a lot of discussion on the record about what the jurors think about what they saw or heard, and whether they formed strong feelings. So there may be a concern there. For a year of national pretrial publicity, that happened almost at lightning speed without the use of a questionnaire. I'm not saying it's inappropriate, I'm not saying it was the wrong decision, but that's awfully fast.
Not only have a lot of people heard about this case, a lot of people are fearful to actually take a seat on the jury. And let's listen to an exchange about that.
You had said nobody wants to be sitting in that chair.
Absolutely. You're scared to go to your car. You're scared to go home.
So, Craig, this does underscore a very real concern for jurors here, making this jury selection more complicated than most. How does the court ensure the safety of the people impaneled?
As best as it can, working with the Sheriff's Department in Kenosha County particularly. The Sheriff's Department in each county is charged with the safety of jurors. And so there's a plan. They've discussed that. I don't know the specifics of it, nor do I have an answer ultimately to your question. But that was a very real moment for that potential juror, wasn't it? When she expressed that fear. It was genuine. It's understandable because of the strong feelings centered around this case in the national media and I think in the public. You have a lot involved here.
Would that be enough to get someone stricken from service? Just expressing that fear?
I don't think so. I think that's why you saw Judge Schrader pause and say, well, we have a duty. Who's going to hear this case? It doesn't go to the issue that the judge and the lawyers are trying to get at, which is, can you be fair? She was expressing a very real concern and had absolute right to express it, and has the right to.
And I kind of hate the fact that she got up on screen and did say, and I mean it showed and said, okay, I have a fear of my life, because that'll be a tactic used, because there is, according to the people on the political left, the people who are standing outside the courthouse and protesting with the Pan-African flags, there is a right decision in this. It's already predetermined. According to them, this kid doesn't even get his day in court. Now, if it was one of theirs, they'd be expected to get their day in court, but this kid isn't allowed to have his day in court because the news media told them so. So, yes, according to them, there is a right outcome to this, and if you don't give them the right outcome, then, yeah, you'd better be in fear of your life, and now they know that the weakness is there, that, yes, there should be some fear of your life. I definitely hate the fact that was brought up and that was talked about. But looking in off of this, yeah, I mean, it is difficult on a situation like this to get an impartial jury, because this has been by design, I believe, blasted around every piece of media. Everybody in the country knows what's happening with this. There have been Facebook memes, there have been Discord memes, there have been, really, really spicy Discord memes. Twitter's been alight about this. In a just world, the only reason I would know about this is the fact that it happened a mile away from where I used to live, and in a neighborhood where I still know people. In a just world, the rest of you guys wouldn't know about this because it would be a local story. But given the situation and given the fact that our political betters seem to have a predetermined outcome for this, no. You all have to know about it. It comes out of a local story, and national chapters of BLM have told you that there is a proper outcome to this. Now, politically, I've said this before. I think a big part of the reason that there's so many people that are gunning for this kid, that want this kid to get the chair essentially for what he did, even though there's no death penalty in Wisconsin, that they want this kid to get the chair is because you will notice the night after this, or the morning after this rather, after this night, our wonderful skeleton, Tony Evers, called out the National Guard and said, enough is enough, we're doing something about this, we're putting a stop to this. Now, I don't know if the rioting stopped, because the rioting did stop. There were no riots the next day. There are a few people that got out there and got into the heat of the moment, but they were shut down pretty quickly. And I don't know if it's because the National Guard was coming out to put a stop to it, or people were afraid because, unlike in some of these other big cities, like Philadelphia, actually Philadelphia happened after, didn't it? But like in Minneapolis, like in Portland, like in Chicago, somebody shot back. Somebody defended himself. These other cities, these big cities, were supposed to just lay down and take it. Take it on the chin and say, oh, yes, please, no, we'll say BLM, just please don't burn our cities down. Somebody shot back in Kenosha. And I think that's a big part of the reason that they're trying to make sure that this kid goes to prison for shooting back. That's why there's so many people out there that tell you, no, it was clearly out there for murder. It doesn't matter what was happening in the moment. He was there looking to kill people, looking to murder. Because he shot back. Because somebody shot back. Because somebody came out and said, that's enough. We need to stop this. I get an interesting one here that comes to me via the Daily Wire, and something that's a little bit familiar to me here. Hope as a Christian, Kenosha pastor wants Rittenhouse convicted. From Amanda Prestigiacomo, and there's Rittenhouse on the side of Ruther, cleaning up the wall just like I showed you yesterday. He's over on the side of the Ruther, cleaning up the graffiti. That is an alternative high school in, well, it's downtown. I showed you guys that high school. A Kenosha pastor has hope as a Christian that Kyle Rittenhouse, who says he was acting in self-defense when he fatally shot 2 rioters last summer, will be convicted. The Reverend Jonathan Barker, who leads a Grace Lutheran Church in Kenosha, says it will set a dangerous precedent for people's rights to free speech and assembly if Rittenhouse is not convicted, NPR reported on Monday. And see, this caught my attention. I saw the headline first, and I'm like, I wonder if this is. And I looked into it, and yes, this is the church that I used to attend. Grace Lutheran Church on 60th Street. When I lived in Kenosha, I attended that church on and off throughout the time that I was there. I actually have one of the former pastor's books on the Gnostic Gospels, if I remember correctly, still on my bookshelf. I can't see it from here, so I can't confirm that right now. But yes, as far as I know, I still have one of his. So, and I mean, this is an ELCA church, so this is a very, very liberal Lutheran church. Plus, being in the neighborhood that it's in, it's a very liberal church. By the way, this is the church that Biden spoke at during the riots last year. It's the same church. And I can go on and on and on a tirade on the ELCA and everything else that goes along with that. I know we looked at I think it was the Church of Christ in Kenosha yesterday, the Bradford Church, where they've got the rainbow flag outside of it. But I mean, for this church, it's the kind of thing. I knew something was off because, you know, the evangelicals are out there and say, pray the gay away, gay is bad, let's stop doing the gay thing. And when I go to this church, one of the first people I meet is a county supervisor for the district that I lived in, who is a gay black kid, openly in the church. So yes, it is a very liberal church, so I'm actually not that surprised by this. I have deep concerns about how this will go, and I've been disappointed, Barker said. I'm ready for anything, but I want to be a person of hope as a Christian and a pastor. The pastor was allegedly told to stay away from the courthouse during the trial because it would become a hub of white nationalism, NPR reported. Oh my god. Dude, I was down there yesterday. There were no white nationalists down there. It's unclear why white nationalists would show up to the trial. Rittenhouse is white, and so are the 3 people he shot during the riot. Kenosha was overrun with arson, rioting, vandalism, and looting by protesters last summer. Over the police shooting of an armed man, Jacob Blake, the county was hit with a reported $50 million in damages. An armed Rittenhouse went to Kenosha. We saw all that here. As highlighted by Kenosha News, then candidate Joe Biden visited Grace Lutheran Church last September. Vice President Biden intentionally listened to the pain of our community. Reverend Barker gushed. Oh my god! Senpai's in my church! Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! He's gonna defeat the evil orange man! Addressing the church, Biden named things he's passionate about, things that would matter to our community, like a living wage and fair housing, Barker said. He also fucking ripped one as he bent down, if you'll remember that video clip. It was very good. The vice president facilitated listening, and if we start listening, we have a chance at justice and reconciliation, the pastor said, adding, I'm quite hopeful, but the real pain here can't be fixed in one afternoon. So, there you go. Christ wants Rittenhouse to be convicted. So says Reverend Barker. Alright. Let's shift gears here. Let's go talk Virginia, because that is happening today. If you are in Virginia, go out and vote. If you are in Virginia and you are concerned with what's happening in your government and the government at large, go out and vote. McAuliffe, Youngkin, all the final rallies ahead of Virginia elections. From Julia Manchester. Virginia gubernatorial candidates Terry McAuliffe and Glenn Youngkin held their final campaign rallies before Election Day on Monday night, delivering the contrasting messages in what is expected to be a nail-biter of a contest. Do I have the picture? Where did I put that? I had a picture to go with this. Where the fuck did it go? Did I shut it down? God damn it. Hold on. Let me run up to the Discord here. Because there was something that went along with this that I wanted to make sure got included. Hey look, Highleaf put more stuff in the Discord. Yeah, we're going to have a fun day tomorrow just looking at the stuff that Highleaf has put in here. Motherfucker! How did I lose that? Hang on. Because this is one we got to put up here. On-air production. There it is. Back to this. Sorry for the on-air production. Alright, let's get back to it here. Alright. McAuliffe once again took the opportunity at his last campaign event before Election Day to tie Youngkin to former President Trump. Guess how Glenn Youngkin is finishing his campaign? He's doing an event with Donald Trump here in Virginia, McAuliffe said. I'm here with you and they've got Trump over there. It's sensitive for us with Trump here in Virginia because of Charlottesville, he added, referring to the racially charged riots that took place 4 years ago when McAuliffe was governor. Donald Trump wants to win here tomorrow night so he can next day announce for president of the United States of America. Well, we're going to put an end to Donald Trump's future plans right here in Virginia. Dude, Donald Trump broke these people. That's all that they think about is, it doesn't matter who's going to be the governor here. We just have to go back and stop Trump. Evil Trump, we have to stop him. Oh my God. McAuliffe said, I've beaten Trump twice in Virginia. Tomorrow we go 3-0. Trump held a tele-rally in honor of Youngkin on Monday evening that was closed press, where he spoke for 6 minutes. Youngkin said over the weekend that he was not going to engage with the rally. However, Democrats say they see opportunity in tying Youngkin to Trump, given the former president's endorsement of Youngkin and Trump's deep unpopularity in parts of the state. Trump lost Virginia in the 2016 and 2020 presidential elections. And of course, they're trying to come back and tie him out here as well, because Gary Grumbach says, in Loudoun County, Virginia. And I wanted to make sure that that was in the picture, in the shot here. But I noticed, by the way, I guess the McAuliffe campaign didn't want their operatives ID'd this time, because the only picture that we see of this comes from the back, where you can only see the Confederate flag. You can't see the faces of people. Look, after the Youngkin bus incident, I don't believe these people. I don't trust that any of this is realistic anymore. I look at something like this, and I mean, I go back to Charlottesville and say, okay, was one of these McAuliffe people, these VA Democrat people, were they back in Charlottesville handing out the tiki torches and saying, here you go, here's your complimentary torch, make sure it's lit. Face the camera when you get angry. Come on, oh, here you go. Oh, have another one, have another one. Oh, yes, oh. Let's do racist things, you guys. I have no faith in this anymore. And yes, what happened in Charlottesville, even if it was organized by people on the Democrat side, broke people on the ground. That legitimately broke people on the ground. But yeah, I'm sure that they didn't want their people identified here. But that's where we go with that. From Fox News, civil rights leaders condemns McAuliffe's race-based teacher plan as racist and insulting. From Tyler O'Neill. A civil rights leader and Virginia parent activist condemned Virginia Democrat gubernatorial candidate Terry McAuliffe for emphasizing the race of teachers in Virginia's public school system and lamenting that more teachers are white, while roughly half of the Virginia public school students are not. It is explicitly and implicitly a racist approach to the education, Bob Woodson, a civil rights veteran and president of the Woodson Center, told Fox News on Monday. We got to work hard to diversify our teacher base, McAuliffe said at a campaign event in Manassas on Sunday. 50% of our students are students of color. 80% of the teachers are white. So what I'm going to do for you will be the first state in America if you go to teach in Virginia for 5 years in a high demand area. That could be geographic, it could be coursework. We will pay room, board, tuition, any college and any university, or any HBCU, historically black colleges and universities, here in Virginia. Woodson condemned the idea as insulting and racist. The assumption is that in order to recruit more black teachers that you've got to subsidize candidates in order for them to teach. They're not offering this to white candidates, the civil rights veteran said, adding that this assumes that black students need subsidies to teach. Not only that, but assuming that black teachers need to be subsidized. They need to have the government come out and take care of them. That idea, I mean, that was very popular for Democrats in the 90s and in the 2000s. That idea is wearing really, really thin. That black people need the government to come out and take care of them. It's still out there, it's still prevalent, but that's wearing really thin, and I'm seeing it become more and more unpopular as years and years go on. Yes, there are a few of them out there that still just want to have everybody take care of everything that they do, and we'll talk about one of them later on. But that idea is wearing very, very thin among the black community, and I'm glad to see it. Because you shouldn't have faith in the government. The government shouldn't be trusted to take care of you, because the government sucks at everything. But that's where we see coming out of that. Another one from the Daily Wire. And this is less about Terry and Glenn, and this is more about some of the other things that are weighing on their campaigns right now, because as long as this Loudoun County thing is going in, and Biden and Garland-backed McAuliffe is in the race, this is going to be a major boon to him as we go into Election Day here. Now, a lot of people in Virginia have already made up their minds, but this coming out right before election did not help Terry McAuliffe in any stretch of the imagination. Neither did sending Democrats in to go hold tiki torches in front of a Youngkin bus, and then lying about who organized it, but that's what they do. Loudoun County official claimed that he might not have seen email informing him of sex assault despite responding to it. From Luke Rosiak. Internal Loudoun County School Board emails show a shifting explanation about how much school board members knew about the bathroom sex assault, with one member writing to the superintendent in the wake of the cover-up allegations that he might have missed an email informing him about it, even though he previously responded to that very email asking for a follow-up question, also after hearing about the incident from somebody else. From my memory, I recall only learning about it during the public comment process. Democrat board member Harris Mahadavi wrote to the superintendent on October 12th, one day after the Daily Wire revealed that a girl had been raped in the bathroom on May 28th, that the superintendent had denied in a public hearing on June 22nd, and that the school system had quietly transferred the assailant to another school, where he was arrested for a different sex assault on October 6th. As has been previously reported, immediately after the May rape, Ziegler wrote to the school board member saying the purpose of this email is to provide you with information regarding an incident that occurred at Stonebridge High School. This afternoon, a female student alleged that a male student sexually assaulted her in a bathroom. 3 weeks later, on June 22nd, Ziegler said in a public board meeting that, to my knowledge, we don't have any record of assaults occurring on our restrooms. None of the school board members raised the discrepancy, but a week after that, on June 28th, it was on the mind of school board members. The newly obtained emails show, and yes, the guy who said that he didn't know about it, he must have missed the email, did, in fact, respond to that. And Terry's law firm, the law firm that employed him, has a rich history of defending school boards during rape allegations. So this cannot look good for McAuliffe as we come in. This cannot look good for him. Everything they've tried to do to try to meme and turn the tides against Glenn Youngkin has turned around and fucking backfired on them. Hard. Now, there still might be some honk, and, you know, I voted in a poll because I'm willing to bet, I'm willing to take out the guess that at 2 o'clock in the morning, as soon as they know how many votes they need to win, after they've counted the majority of the votes, boop! Oh, look! All the votes popped in all at once. I would not be surprised to see honk in this situation. Not in the least. Alright, let's shift gears here. Let's talk about the budget reconciliation. The Point with Chris Cillizza. An analysis. An op-ed by Chris Cillizza. Joe Manchin just torpedoed the White House's planned victory lap. When Manchin stepped to the podium at the U.S. Capitol on Monday afternoon, the hope among Democrats was that he was going to announce that he supported the $1.75 trillion social safety net bill. A moment that would virtually ensure the passage of the bulk of President Joe Biden's first-term domestic agenda. After all, why else would Manchin call a news conference to tell reporters he was going to clear up a lot of things? Well, not that, as it turned out. What the West Virginia Democrat announced is that liberals' attempts to secure his vote for the safety net bill in exchange for their backing of the $1.2 trillion hard infrastructure bill aren't working and won't work. It's time to vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill up or down, said Manchin. Holding his bill hostage is not going to work in getting my support for the reconciliation bill. Ultimately, Manchin did not want to get jammed into supporting something he was far from ready to endorse, CNN's Manu Raju reported after talking to a source familiar with the senator's thinking. As to whether he will ever support the social safety net bill, Manchin was decidedly not committal. Raju, who was at the Manchin presser, also noted, "One thing Manchin's statement makes clear is that he's going to take time, potentially a lot more time, to win his support, even if that's possible, or if that's even possible, rather. It's hard to overstate how big of a setback Manchin's statements represents for Biden, who was attending a climate change conference in Scotland. At the start of the day on Monday, the general consensus among Democrats was that a deal had been reached on at least a framework for the social safety net legislation. And that reality appeared to be softening concerns among liberals that voting for the hard infrastructure bill without the broader bill would cost them the only leverage they have with Manchin and Democratic Senator Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona. Now, Manchin's assistants at the House, Reid, liberals in the House, passed the infrastructure bill without any assurance on how he will ultimately vote on the safety measure will restoke all the doubts among progressives about him walking away from the broader deal once he gets what he wants. And Manchin's lectury, "It's time to pass the bill and quit playing games," is just going to piss the left off even more than they already were. Ooh, Syriza's angry. He said piss them off on CNN. And yes, I understand the irony in me saying that, given the fact that I say fuck regularly on this channel. But I'm also not subject to the laws of the FCC. That's the difference. So, that's over. It's done. And we might not even get the hard infrastructure bill at this point, too. Which is good. That's done. Let's grab a little bit more. Arizona bride, mom, plead with progressive anti-cinema protesters to stop ruining wedding. From Audra Conklin. An Arizona bride and her mother pleaded with protesters outside of a wedding that Senator Kyrsten Sinema officiated last weekend to stop disrupting the event, according to video of the demonstrators. Sinema was officiating a wedding for her personal friend, according to Tucson.com, when protesters arrived outside the venue, chanting and carrying signs that read phrases including, "Sinema betrays Democrats" and "We voted for you, shouldn't you vote for us?" as seen in a video of the event posted to YouTube on October 24th. You know I came with video. You know I came with that video. Mostly because it was right on the Fox News page.
Corporate shell! 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 Cinema is a sellout!
Cinema betrays us all!
Thank God for these good railings. Vote.
Cinema sucks! Cinema, Trump being a tutu! Trump being a tutu! This is a wedding. Trump being a tutu! Do you know this is a wedding? It's a wedding.
Hi, thanks for ruining my wedding. I really appreciate it.
You know what? She's ruining our life. That's I'm sorry.
It's just my wedding.
I know. You
Well,
are.
I really wish I could enjoy my wedding without you ruining it.
I know you do.
So mad.
You awesome. What's really
I've wondered if anything about Elizabeth Warren.
Hey, look, the village people are here.
Man, that is racist as hell. Shame. Shame. Could you just go down to the choir for an hour? How about it's my daughter's wedding? Just for an hour. Just let her get married, please. It's this person is not my daughter. My daughter's getting married. Will you tell her that?
Did you invite Cinema? Is Cinema really here?
No, listen.
Tell her
that we don't like what she's doing to our country.
How about you invite this woman?
You know what? Tell her.
Corrupting the whole country.
Tell her.
I don't disagree with any of you people with your point of view and your rights. It's my daughter's wedding.
So throw her out.
Please just go down to the
throw her out.
1 hour.
She's officiating.
It's my daughter's wedding. Just 1 hour. Could you just
Leave.
All right, that's enough of that because that's actually going to make me sick if I keep watching that there. This woman who's getting married is in no way involved in any of this. And these people are out here protesting off of this. The only reason that she's involved in any of this is because she's a longtime friend of Kyrsten Sinema, and Sinema decided to come back and officiate the wedding as a favor to a friend. This is fucking disgusting. Alright. Joe made a mistake. This is from Newsweek. Democrats assail Manchin for refusing to back spending bill from Justin Klawans. Senator Manchin continued to frustrate Democrats Monday over his unwillingness to vote yes on President Biden's reconciliation bill, this time taking aim at the bill's $1.75 trillion social spending and climate initiatives. While Democrats had hoped to have a vote in the House in the coming weeks, Manchin's likeliness to not support the bill means they may not have enough votes to get the measure passed in the Senate. Manchin stated that Democrats were using shell games and budget gimmicks to hide the real cost of the program, and added that the real cost of the bill could end up being twice as high as claimed. Adding that the bill wouldn't vote on any measure without thoroughly understanding the impact it would have on our national debt, Manchin stated that the price tag could end up hurting American families suffering from historic inflation. Manchin has particularly lobbied criticism towards the clean energy measures in the reconciliation bill, stating that he believes the U.S. is moving away from fossil fuels too quickly. West Virginia is among the large producers of coal in the nation, second only to Wyoming, and Manchin's opponents have pointed out that the senator has reportedly made millions from his self-founded coal company. Salon reported that Manchin also gets significant donations from the fossil fuel industry. Meanwhile, many high-profile progressives assailed Manchin for his reported unwillingness to negotiate on certain aspects of the bill, even as Manchin himself blamed Democrats in the House for the holdup. John Tester told the media that Manchin was making a mistake by not working with Democrat colleagues. "I think Joe made a mistake today by going out and making the news conference," he said. Additional criticism came from Mazie Hirono, who pushed back on Manchin's claims that the bill was being funneled through Congress too quickly. "I would like to ask Joe Manchin, you know what, Joe? We really need to be moving. I don't think we're moving too fast." One of Manchin's most ardent critics, Bernie Sanders, also rebuffed the idea that the reconciliation bill wouldn't be able to be properly funded. Additionally, while he didn't mention him by name, Sanders stated that the current Manchin-backed infrastructure initiative would add to the deficit, not shrink it. Right, but if he doesn't vote on this bill, the other one gets fucking torpedoed too, because the progressives won't touch it unless they get their big what they want off of this. The Biden admin is stalled, dude. It's done. It can't do anything. And yes, I do believe that some of this is trying to garner votes for 2022. I don't trust Manchin. I've got a feeling that this is going to be every political advertisement coming up in the next year. Vote for Democrats because they held this bill hostage. The Republicans and Joe Manchin held this bill hostage. We need to have 70 votes in the Senate so Joe Biden can walk out to the podium and say, "I am the Senate." But as far as those people went, Cori Bush went further. From Fox News, Cori Bush, Manchin opposition to Build Back Better is anti-black. Because of course it is. Because of course it is. From Kyle Morris. Cori Bush, a member of the squad who supports efforts to defund the police, released a statement on Monday chastising Joe Manchin for the lack of support he's given President Biden's Build Back Better Act, saying his unwillingness to support the legislation is anti-black, anti-child, anti-woman, and anti-immigrant. Manchin's opposition to the Build Back Better bill is anti-black, anti-child, anti-woman, and anti-immigrant. Oh, yes, just like we saw in the previous paragraph. Bush claimed, when we talk about transformative change, we're talking about the bill that would benefit black, brown, and indigenous communities. The freshman Missouri Congresswoman also said that Manchin does not get to dictate the future of our country, and that she does not trust his assessment of what our communities need the most. I trust the parents in my district who can't get through their shift without childcare, Bush said. I trust the scientists who have shown what our future will look like if we fail to meaningfully address the climate crisis. I trust the patients and doctors crying out for comprehensive health coverage for every person in America. Because they know that they'll get paid handsomely by the government to do so, by the way. Manchin accused progressive Democrats of holding the bipartisan infrastructure bill hostage in a scathing statement on Monday, adding that he would not support the broad spending bill they favor without a thorough review of how its policies would affect the U.S. economy. Simply put, I will not support a bill that is this consequential without thoroughly understanding the impact it will have on our national debt, our economy, and the American people, Manchin said. Every elected representative needs to know what they're voting for and the impact it has not only on their constituents but the entire country. Because of course it's racist. It can't be anything other than racist. Because Cori Bush is on there. Anything I don't like, Cori Bush, is racist. That's Cori Bush right there. Anything that I don't like, it's racist. Anything that you do bad for us, it's affecting black and brown people, which means it's affecting me. Because it's racism and racist and racism and racist. And this, of course, as she drops another $65,000 into private security. And furthermore, we've got this here, which came to us from MK Ultra. Prince Charles claims that a vast military-style campaign is required to marshal a fundamental economic transition. Let's listen.
So, ladies and gentlemen, my plea today is for countries to come together to create the environment that enables every sector of industry to take the action required. We know this will take trillions, not billions of dollars. We also know that countries, many of whom are burdened by growing levels of debt, simply cannot afford to go green. Here we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of the global private sector. With trillions at his disposal, far beyond global GDP, and with the greatest respect, beyond even the governments of the world's leaders, it offers the only real prospect of achieving fundamental economic transition.
All right, Charles? The first thing, if you want to do your part, say that we need a vast redistribution of wealth, clean your own damn room first. Why start telling developed nations that they need to put their GDP into places when the first thing you could do is go sell Buckingham, the crown jewels, and a vast, vast amount of land that you guys keep in Britain? Go sell that off. Sell it off to industry so they can go and make more GDP. But sell all that off and take all that money and go hand it to these third world countries that you feel that you need to take care of so rigorously. You're fucking loaded, and you guys don't do anything either. That's the thing that gets me. You don't do a goddamn thing. Other than be a figurehead and a symbol. Now, yes, if you were involved in the legislative process, if you're involved in that, or the executive process of the legislation, if you were in charge of the police and executing the law, I would say, okay, well, maybe we can sit there and have the conversation as to whether or not you do anything. But you legitimately don't do anything. All those processes I described that would come to an executive, go to a prime minister. So go sell your shit first. Show us how it's done. All right, from Yahoo News. The UN says $6 billion from the world's billionaires could solve the hunger crisis. Elon Musk, he will sell Tesla stock and donate proceeds if the UN can prove that. Yeah, you guys got receipts? From Wheeling Khan. The billionaire Elon Musk said he'd sell Tesla stock and donate the proceeds if the UN could prove that just a tiny percentage of his wealth could save tens of millions of lives. Musk was responding to comments by David Beasley, director of the UN's World Food Program, who told CNN's Connect the World last week that a $6 billion donation from billionaires such as Musk and Bezos could help 42 million people who he said were literally going to die if we don't reach them. Musk is the world's richest man and recently became the first person in the Bloomberg Billionaires Index ever to have an estimated net worth of $300 billion. The index currently lists Tesla CEO net worth at $311 billion, meaning $6 billion would be 2% of his wealth. Such a donation would still leave him besting the world's second richest person, Bezos, by at least $100 billion. Both men's net worth consists largely of stock in companies they founded. But Musk is challenging the claim that specific amount will solve the hunger crisis, saying on Twitter that if the World Food Program could show its math, then he would sell Tesla stock right now and do it. He also demanded the transparency about how the money would be spent. Beasley responded to Musk by tweeting, "I can assure you that we have systems in place for transparency and open source accounting. Your team can review and work with us to be totally confident of such." And see, that's one of the things too, is you come out here, the US government, the UN, all these other organizations that go out to redistribute wealth from rich people out to people who are not as rich. These companies and these organizations that exist to do that. You always got to watch where the money's going, especially with the US government, because they say that they're going to tax the billionaires to take care of the poor. But how much are they going to take off the top for administrative costs and pocket lining and pet projects they can launder money through? Now, see, there is a difference in off of this. When a billionaire is telling other people to go out and sell all their stuff off, and we all need to go pay more taxes in, when a billionaire royal is telling other people to do that, he can lead by example, but somebody from the organization is telling Musk to do that. If Musk had come out and said, okay, I think we need to shift our policy so we can send more of our GDP to poor countries, I would tell him to do the same thing. Okay, lead by example. Sell your stuff. If you're going to come out here and tell me that I need to give my GDP away to other people through public policy, then lead by example. Sell your stuff. But this was the UN telling Musk to do that, and on Charles's side, it was the billionaire telling everybody else to come back up and we've got to suck it up and do the taxation. No, there's a world of difference between these two situations. There's a world of difference between these two. And yes, if Musk had did the same thing as Prince Charles did, I would be saying the same thing to him. Okay, get up there, lead by example. Show us how it's done. Show us exactly how it's done if you're the expert in how public policy goes. All right, we've got some American Airlines news here. First, we're going to watch a clip from CNBC, and then we're going to read the article from CNBC.
Airline stocks just had their worst month since March 2020, when the pandemic first hit and was in full swing. And now American Airlines becomes the latest carrier dealing with mass cancellations. Phil LeBeau is here with those details and why this could be the new normal for travel. Phil?
Kelly, it'll be the new normal, and perhaps because when you have a storm or something that causes a lot of cancellations, maybe over a one-day period or a two-day period, there's just not the staffing flexibility in order for many airlines to immediately ramp up. So you have people, maybe 10, 50, 100,000 people who may have lost their flights because they were canceled, and as a result, what happens is they find themselves struggling to get back on track, and the airline finds itself struggling to get back on track. Take a look at what we've seen just over the last couple of months. American, between Friday and Sunday, approximately 1,800 flights were canceled. We know what happened with Southwest a couple of weeks ago, about 2,000 flights. And remember, Spirit, it took them more than a week to get back on track. More than 2,800 flights were canceled. American says that it expects fewer cancellations today, and I just checked on this. They're just under 600 cancellations for today. So that's about...
Okay, so that's enough off of that there. But yeah, it's American is getting hit with it too. It's not just Southwest anymore. Everybody's getting off it. And we talked a bit about it yesterday, that they had a bunch of cancellations over the weekend, and they just did 600 more yesterday. More from CNBC. American Airlines reduces flight cancellations, but staffing challenges continue to disrupt travel. From Leslie Josephs. American Airlines on Monday canceled more than 460 flights, or 16%, of its mainline schedule as the carrier scrambled to stabilize its operations after reporting staffing shortages that led to travel disruptions for tens of thousands of people over the weekend. The Fort Worth-based airline canceled more than 2,300 mainline flights since Friday, blaming the issues on high winds. On Thursday, in a shortfall of crews on Sunday alone, it canceled more than 1,000 flights, or 30% of its operation, according to flight tracking website FlightAware. That affected more than 136,000 customers, according to a company document, which was viewed by CNN. And you know what you do with this, if they're going to continue to do this? Stop flying. Stop rewarding them with your money. Because they can go back and they can run however they want on short notice. They can cancel your flight. You can send them money. You can pay them money. And you have no idea if you're going to be able to get on that flight or not. And I'm sure there's a cancellation fee as well off of this here that's probably hidden in somewhere in the refund off of this. So stop giving them money. Stop flying. Get in your car and drive. Yes, I understand it sucks and it takes a long time to do. Especially if you're going to go from Brooklyn to Manhattan Beach. And that's the one in California, not the one in actual Manhattan, by the way. I realized as soon as I said Manhattan Beach, I'm like, ah, shit, somebody's going to get confused because there's a Manhattan in New York. If you're going to go from Brooklyn to Manhattan Beach, it sucks, and you're going to be on the road for 12 days just on its own. But stop giving these people money. Stop giving these people money to suck. Hit them where it hurts. And they're going to come out here, well, it was the weather too. It was weather and staffing disruptions. Which means people started doing a mass call out here because they realized that they were going to get held down and have the needle put in their arms under gunpoint. So, Steph XAG is definitely not advice. Quote tweets out here. The original tweet says, American Airlines canceled 600 flights saying they're dealing with the weather. With the radar map over the weekend that showed just a little bit of storming over Canada over the weekend, just like with Southwest. But there were also some high winds that went on in Texas, so I'll give them the fact that there were some high winds that went on in Texas. I did look into this a little bit more, and there were some other storms that went over Iowa on Saturday as well, but they were light. They barely got a drop of rain, according to people who were in Iowa at the time. And it was clear sky all weekend here in Wisconsin. So, yeah, this was the weather that they caused off of this. And Steph XAG says, it's the political climate, not the atmosphere. On the nose, right there. That's exactly what it is. It's all about the political climate. And by the way, also a note for there, because you guys like to go out and use your Twitter for good. I invited, after a lengthy conversation going on about this, to have Steph XAGs come on the show. And she has said, guys, should I go on a podcast? So go tweet at Steph XAGs. That is at Steph X-Ray Alpha Golf Sierra. Go tweet at her and say that you're from the audience from the Red Dent Show and you would like to see her go back and be on there because that'll be good. And she also said make sure we get her good side for the fact that she was featured on here. So apparently that's her good side. I told her she had till 7:15 in the morning to make sure that she had her good side up. She apparently felt that the side that she had up was the good side, so there you go. Go tweet at her. Go tell her, hey, get over here. Come back in here and join the audience. But yeah, it is the political climate at this point. The government's going to force mandates down people's throats. And even the vaccinated are going to come back and say, fuck you, we're not going to do this. Fuck you. We're vaccinated, but you can't treat people like this. We spent 4 years saying tyranny, tyranny, tyranny. And now we're in the face of actual tyranny. Now we're going to come back and say the same fucking thing. Let's talk about Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham told police to use their guns against January 6 rioters. Take back the Senate, sugar. From Emma Colton. Republican Lindsey Graham urged Capitol Police to use their guns and regain control of the Capitol on January 6th. A new report details. What are you doing? Take back the Senate, sugar. You got guns. You got big, scary guns, boys. Use them, Graham told Capitol Police, according to an extensive report from Washington Post, which described Graham as irate that senators were forced to leave the chambers during the storming of the Capitol. Oh, I'm sure he wanted one of those big, burly Capitol Police officers to use his gun. Just maybe not the one on his hip. We give you guns, big boy, he said. Use them. The Washington Post stated the quotes were based on an unnamed Republican senator with knowledge of the incident. Graham's office confirmed the quotes were accurate in a statement to Fox News on Monday. Graham was quite clear on the point, noting that the backpacks and other items brought into the Capitol could have contained bombs and explosives. The damage could have been much, much worse. Graham's communications director, Kevin Bishop, said. Graham also called Ivanka Trump, former President Trump's oldest daughter, multiple times and gave suggestions on what the then president should say, according to the report. You need to get these people out of here, baby, he told her. This thing is going south, sugar. It's not good. You're going to have to tell all these people to stand down. Stand down. Graham has also been long slammed the storming of the Capitol, saying that on January 7th that warning shots and lethal force should have been used once they penetrated the seat of government. And boy, oh boy, do I know something about penetration of the seat. Yesterday they could have blown that building up. They could have killed us all, he said at the time. People coming through windows have backpacks big as my desk on the Senate. They should have been challenged. Warning shots should have been fired, and lethal force should have been used once they penetrated the seat of government. These backpacks could have had bombs and chemical agents and weapons. We dodged a major bullet yesterday. He also pointed to the rioting at the courthouse in Portland, Oregon in 2020, saying that violence gets worse if such behavior is not addressed and managed by the legal system and local leaders. We've lost our will to stand up and our determination to stand up for law and order. When you let a courthouse get attacked and nobody gets prosecuted, the next thing you know, sugar, it gets worse. To all those mayors out there who have discord and unlawful behavior in your city, get on top of it, he said. So that's what Lindsey Graham had to say about the Capitol Selfie Fest, and Tucker Carlson has now slammed him. Now, I was about to say when I read that article before I got into the homosexual Lindsey Graham voice, I was about to say that if this is true, and we should do an investigation to make sure that this is true before we come off and say this, before we come back and condemn Lindsey Graham for this. But then his office came out and confirmed that, no, yeah, he said this. He said it. Don't worry about that. So, yeah, turn on the ire. Tucker Carlson slams Lindsey Graham over 1/6 comments. What the hell is wrong with you? I think Lindsey Graham and Kamala are the same person, actually. Amidst his own controversy surrounding January 6, Fox News host Tucker Carlson slammed Senator Lindsey Graham for reportedly telling Capitol Police to shoot rioters. On January 6th, Lindsey Graham was running around the Capitol, ordering Capitol Police to murder protesters, Carlson said. He then referenced comments the South Carolina Republican reportedly made during the Capitol riots that were published in the Washington Post on Sunday. Graham was quoted as saying, "What are you doing, sugar? Take back the Senate. You got guns, big boy. Use them. We give you guns for a reason, big boy. Use them." Carlson condemned Graham, suggesting that the police shoot American citizens for the crime of trespass. Really? This is the conservative position on armed protesters. Look, they shouldn't have been there. We've never defended that, and we never would, Carlson continued. Yes, you have, Tucker. But kill them? What the hell is wrong with you, Lindsey Graham? How long before you're ordering drone attacks on people's politics you don't like? And Tucker himself is in the news this week because apparently part 1 of his little pet project has dropped here. Tucker Carlson Patriot Purge Part 1 from Tucker Carlson Originals is available now. Stream on the Fox Nation series and all Tucker content right now for 90 days free exclusively by going to tuckercarlson.com. I can assure you of one thing, that's not going to happen, but let's look at the trailer. Oh, there's no trailer. I thought that was a video. Okay. Well, Patriot Purge is out there if you guys want to watch it. I don't care for Tucker, and I'm not going to give him my views or my money. And in fact, I'm going to mock him incessantly, as I do for many other people in the government that I don't care for. All right, let's keep going. From the Blaze. Mark Levin. Who is Ray Epps, and why hasn't he been charged in the January 6th Selfie Fest? From Blaze TV staff. Who is Ray Epps, and why hasn't he been charged in the January 6th Selfie Fest at the U.S. Capitol? There are multiple videos that show the Arizona man apparently planning the march and advocating for protesters to breach the Capitol, yet there's no evidence that he ever entered the Capitol building. Last week, Massey questioned the AG about Epps' role in the Capitol Selfie Fest during a House oversight hearing. Massey played a video that appears to show Epps provoking protesters to go into the Capitol building and asked if there were federal agents or assets in the government present on January 5th and 6th. Garland refused to answer, stating that the Department of Justice did not comment on pending investigations. Just a reminder, this is what that looked like. And there is video for this one. I'm not going to flub this like the Tucker article.
I know. In fact, tomorrow, I don't even like to say it because I'll be arrested.
Well, let's not say it.
We need to go, I'll say it.
All right.
We need to go in to the Capitol.
Let's go!
So I'm going to put it out there. I'm probably going to go to jail for it, okay? Tomorrow, we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol.
What?
Peacefully.
Fed.
Peacefully. Okay, folks, spread the word. As soon as the president's done speaking, we go to the Capitol. The Capitol's this direction. He's done speaking. We are going to the Capitol, where our problems are. It's that direction. He spread the word.
Yeah, and we all remember that video with the crisp, clean, Make America Great Again flag with the creases still in it and the brand new MAGA hats out there at the front and Ray Epps standing back. Well, Mark Levin decided to push back on that. So let's listen to what Mark has to say here.
This guy, Ray Epps, was everywhere. He was trying to organize an attack on the Capitol building. And then he did.
Or maybe we won't. Thank you, Glenn Beck. Give me just a second here. Come on. Jesus Christ, Beck. Can you make your website any less functional?
This guy, Ray Epps, was everywhere. He was trying to organize an attack on the Capitol building, and then he disappears. And people have looked at the charging documents. He hasn't been charged with a damn thing. His name has been whitewashed. It's as if he never existed. Now, this could be a big deal, because if he's with the FBI or some part of federal law enforcement, and he is organizing and encouraging people to charge the Capitol building, that reminds me of what took place in Michigan, when the FBI was organizing and encouraging people to go through the process of kidnapping the governor. And all of them have said, we weren't even thinking about that till this guy shows up and so forth. And the head special agent in charge of that project has been arrested because he's accused of now spousal abuse, just so you know. All right, let's take it from the top. Go ahead.
There's a concern that there were agents of the government or assets of the government present on January 5th and January 6th during the protests. And I've got some pictures that I want to show you. If my staff could bring those to you.
I'm going to put it out there. I'm probably going to go to jail tomorrow. We need to go.
All right, so that's where we're going to go, because we just watched that same video he's going to show up for this. And yeah, and like I said back when we were talking about Charlottesville and the tiki torches, I would not be surprised to find out that was, you know, left-wing organizers, agitators, or FBI agents for that matter. And we're standing there in their crisp, clean, bright white and red MAGA hats with the torches saying, okay, oh, here's a match. Don't forget your matches. Hey, don't forget to make the face when the cameras come on you. Show those people how mad you are. Here you go. Have another torch. Have another torch. Oh, no. I'll be back here handing out torches. Don't worry about it. I'll make sure that you're safe, though. I'll make sure that nothing bad happens to you. I would not be surprised to find out that there was not more of this going on here, so the FBI could come back and look at people that they don't care for off of this. And yes, Ray Epps is just, like Levine said, just completely disappeared off the radar. It's like he doesn't exist. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he never did. Maybe it's a character actor. And they built a character for him. I know there's property in his name, though, so that's what we see off of that. And I don't know who Baked Alaska is, by the way, so unfortunately, I can't answer for when Baked Alaska was right. I've heard the name, I just don't know who it is. I've never watched the creator. Alright, let's see. Let's grab a couple more here, because I know we got to start heading out of here. From Op India, which, by the way, an op-ed page out of India has been doing more accurate news reporting than the American firms lately. Abandoned after the fall of Afghanistan to the Taliban, U.S. allies, including former Afghan spies and soldiers, join hands with ISIS. From Op India staff. 2 months after the U.S. forces left territory in Afghanistan, a large number of their abandoned spies and allies have joined hands with the radical Islamist outfit ISIS. Reported the Wall Street Journal, ISIS is now the only threat to incumbent Taliban government in Afghanistan. Wall Street Journal cited Taliban leaders to claim that the number of such U.S. allies defecting to ISIS is growing daily. Reportedly, the defectors are providing warfare techniques and intelligence gathering expertise to the ISIS terrorists, and thereby strengthening them to overthrow the Taliban government. Following the departure of the U.S. forces, the Talibs raided the house of the Afghans who had worked for the U.S. regime. Fearing threats to their lives, many have joined the original affiliate of the ISIS, the Islamic State Khorasan province. Citing a former Afghan National Army official, Wall Street Journal reported that several men from the Afghan Republic's intelligence and military have also joined the ISIS-K in recent weeks. He added that an army officer was killed in the past week while fighting the Talibs. Ex-head of the National Directorate of Security, Rahmatullah Nabil, informed in some areas ISIS has become very attractive. If they were a resistance, former Afghan security and defense forces would have joined the resistance. For the time being, ISIS is the only other armed group. One of the grim realities facing Afghanistan is that hundreds of thousands of ex-soldiers, former police officials, and Afghan Republic intelligence officers are unemployed. Despite being assured of amnesty, they fear threats to their lives. Reportedly, many of the ex-officials who worked with the National Directorate of Security have resumed work under the Taliban government, but they have not been paid their wages for months. In order to lure such unemployed personnel to ISIS-K, the Islamic State terrorists are providing them with large sums of money and assurances of security against the Taliban regime. Yeah, for the most part, these people are just going to run out and all they want to do is feed their families and go home. Go home, plow their wives, feed their kids, and be done with the day. And then get up the next day and go back and do it again. And if they can't do the feed the kids part of it, that starts to run into issues that I mean, you're one missed meal away from a revolution. And the only people that could facilitate the revolution right now are the Afghanis. Or I'm sorry, the ISIS people. The ISIS soldiers are the only ones who could facilitate such an uprising here. And it's not like, I mean, the Afghanis, the free Afghanis that are not part of the Taliban or government or the allies of the US, I mean, they're allying with the people who are going against the Taliban. It is a pushback against the Taliban no matter what. Whoever's going to be the enemy of the Taliban is going to be the friend. Now, ISIS, I don't believe, is going to do well for them, and they're going to probably be more oppressive than the Taliban initially was, but, I mean, these people, they're not getting paid. They're not being able to bring food home. That's the important part of this. All right. Let's talk. What do we have left here? Ooh, I want to do this one. We'll do the Brooklyn Deli, we'll do the Trump train one, and then we'll leave these last two for tomorrow. So, from ABC 7, suspect arrested after throwing Molotov at a Brooklyn deli and slashing a man. From ABC Eyewitness News, a suspect was arrested after throwing a Molotov at a deli in Brooklyn and slashing a man in the hand on Saturday. According to police, the incident happened just before 8 a.m. when officers responded to a 911 call of an attack at a deli near Nostrand and Halsey. They say a 38-year-old man allegedly threw a Molotov at the deli at 496 Nostrand, which resulted in damage and destruction. They say he also slashed a 23-year-old male victim in his hand. Firefighters responded quickly and brought the fire under control and provided medical treatment for one person with non-life-threatening injuries. The suspect, identified as Brooklyn resident Joel Mangel, fled the scene on foot towards Fulton Street. Police searching the area found the suspect and took him into custody. Fortunately, there was no loss of life here. The investigative work from the Explosive and Arson Task Force, comprised of our fire marshals, the NYPD, and ATF, led to the timely arrest of the suspect, who threatened the safety of our communities by using such cruel and destructive device, Fire Commissioner Daniel A. Negro said. Mangel has been arrested and faces a slew of charges, including assault, attempted assault, arson, reckless endangerment, criminal possession of a weapon, criminal mischief, and menacing. So, he is out, he is off the streets, and, well, we don't know much about the man that he attacked out of this article, except for, you know, he is a member of Brooklyn Deli Owner America. So take away from that what you will. And the last one, we're going to do a little bit of review. Not so much because I want to read this whole article, because we read most of this from the Texas Tribune, but from The Hill, Texas police refused request to escort Biden bus surrounded by Trump supporters report. Transcribed 911 calls reveal that San Marcos police officials refused multiple requests for assistance from a Biden campaign bus that was being harassed on the road by so-called Trump train, even as other jurisdictions agreed to help. The transcripts were included in the amended lawsuit against the police officials filed by those who were inside the bus at the time of the incident, the Texas Tribune reported. Now, one of the things that goes along with this, and I told you this yesterday, was the fact that, yes, if anybody on that bus did feel legitimately threatened, which I didn't see any reason for them to feel threatened, and they called 911, and there was no response, they do have a standing to sue the government because they paid into the system and did not get a service back. That was agreed to them by the government when they paid in. That right there is the definition of taxation as theft. They took your money, but the people didn't come out. They have a standing to sue for that. If you put money in and you don't get the service back, then you tell your city council you'll be hearing from my lawyer. But I've got a feeling that a lot of these staffers and a lot of these people that were in this bus were not from the local area when all this happened. So they're kind of out on their own at this point. They freely travel through this knowing that there might be some pushback off of everything else. But I also wanted to remind you that they've been telling us forever that this was an aggressive attack by Trump supporters, and the Trump supporter nearly ran a person off the road. So let me remind you once again what actually happened that day. First off, the white car that's riding on the fog line. But where's that crossover right there? Look at that crossover SUV and his tires positioned against the white line versus the tires of the Ranger positioned against the white line. Where's that crossover right now?
I'm about to run out of gas, which I'm sure some of you would love. Shit, look at that. Oh my God.
Now, I will take back what I said yesterday, because apparently, allegedly, the truck did leave its lane slightly after being attacked, but...
Oh my God. Shit, look at that.
I mean, all he did was push the Ford Edge over again. It wasn't necessarily that, he was in there going aggressively at him, but, I mean, you can clearly tell, looking at this video here, where that crossover is. I mean, look at it positioned behind the bus.
Running them out of Texas. It is hilarious.
Look at where the tires are versus the F-350 in front of him versus the Ranger behind him and against the back of the bus. That crossover is not in his lane. He's in the lane with the truck, who is down, looks like he is below the fog line as well. I wish I had the John Madden magic marker that I could do this with. I mean, there would be yellow lines everywhere if I had the John Madden magic marker. Look, I don't care if the Supreme Court ruled that the police are not required to protect the people. You paid in, you should get a service back. Just like when you go to the massage parlor. You pay them money, they give you a service back. Usually they give you the service first and then you pay the money. Like when you go to a restaurant. You pay them, they give you a service. The government, you pay them, they give you a service. Now, the people from out of jurisdiction don't pay them. So, yes, there is a level of, okay, maybe the people from out of jurisdiction don't have the... And I'm not talking about what the Supreme Court said. I'm talking about what's just and fucking right. You pay somebody, they give you a service. You pay them, they give you a service. Or in most cases, they give you a service and then you pay them. But that's not how the government works. But there again, that's the scribble. That's what we look at with this. That crossover SUV is clearly out of his lane, aggressing against the black F-250. And anybody who cannot see that is being completely fucking dishonest with themselves, just like they're saying when they say that Kyle Rittenhouse aggressed on the people in Kenosha in the video that we saw. You are being dishonest with yourself if you believe that the black pickup truck is the aggressor here.
I'm about to run out of gas, which I'm sure some of you would love. Shit, look at that. Oh my God. Running them out of Texas. It is hilarious. I'm about to run out of gas.
All right.
Which I'm sure some of you would love. Shit, look at that.
So that's the angle off of that. And yes, I understand that the sales tax. Was the truck entering the highway? The truck was not entering the highway. The truck was absolutely not entering the highway from that. He was off into the shoulder at the beginning of this video. There again, look at where the crossover is, straddling the dashed line in relation to the back of the bus.
Running them out of Texas. It is hilarious. I'm about to run out of gas, which I'm sure some of you would love. Shit, look at that.
So that's what we see off of that. And there again, as far as the police go, and that's the other side of that I said yesterday, and I stand by this. After being told that all cops are bastards for 6 months by the people who were running the campaign, whose names were on that bus. After being told that for 6 months, hey, all cops are bastards. If you were a cop, would you be running and excited to go back and help these people? Because I wouldn't. All right. Let's do Twitter trending and let's head out of here for the day. On the Explore page, trending. Let's see what we've got. All right. Number one trend for today on Twitter is Election Day. It is Virginia Election Day. Make sure if you are in Virginia, you get out and vote. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. I will offer my opinion as to both candidates, but I'm not going to tell you how to vote. You need to figure that out for yourself. You need to figure out what issues are important to you, what's going on there, what the current issues are, and what the political climate is, and make that decision for yourself. But Election Day is today, so make sure your voice is heard. We will skip the Tuesday vibe, and we will go to Morbius. The new trailer for Morbius, starring Jared Leto as the Marvel Legend, is here. I'm not completely familiar with Morbius. Maybe I'm a bad Marvel fan, even though I'm not really a Marvel fan.
You need a doctor? I am a doctor. I should have died years ago. People all over the world have my disease. I'm here to find a cure. We have to push the boundaries, take the risks. If you're gonna run, do it now.
People are strange.
Dr. Michael Morbius, you've been missing for 2 months.
When you're a stranger,
Then you were found on a container ship that washed up off of Long Island.
faces look ugly. When you're alone.
What did you do to yourself, Doctor?
I wish I knew. I went from dying to being more alive than ever.
It worked.
Not exactly. I have increased strength and speed and some form of bat radar. What else can I do?
There are limits. There has to be.
There's something inside of me that wants to hunt and consume blood.
Michael.
When you're strange, faces come.
Can you control it?
I don't know.
Half the city wants to kill you.
We haven't had anything this good since that thing in San Francisco.
The other half wants to control you.
Hey, Dr. Mike, you and I should stay in touch.
I'd do anything to save a life. But I don't know what I'm capable of.
You save lives, you don't take them. Are you here to heal the world? or to destroy it.
Who the hell are you, Matt?
I am Venom. I'm just kidding. It's Dr. Michael Morbius at your service.
That might be an interesting one for me. I mean, I saw Venom. I watched that the other night here. I'm actually looking forward to seeing Venom 2 when that one comes out. Venom was a sort of a C movie, as it was, but I enjoyed it. I generally saw this, and we're starting to see some of the anti-hero types coming out of Marvel, which I think is good. I am familiar with the Morbius character now that I know that it was the Bat one, because I remember that from the cartoon Spider-Man from when I was a kid. That was the same episode that Blade came and joined Spider-Man when they were both hunting Morbius. So yes, I am familiar with this character now that I think about that, now that I know where this is and what the specifics are of this. And I generally like Jared Leto too. I was a big 30 Seconds to Mars fan back when I was in my emo phase. So there's that. I didn't really do like the teen sitcoms when I was a teen. My So-Called Life, none of that really got to me. So, or the teen dramas rather, not the sitcoms. I didn't really care for that at the time. So I wasn't familiar with his body of work at that time, but I think Leto's a fairly decent actor. I liked him in Lord of War. I've liked him in a few other things I've seen him in, so I would probably see this, probably. All right, what else do we have here? Melvin Ingram. It will be our number 3 NFL football trend. Steelers trade Melvin Ingram to the Chiefs for a 6th-round draft pick. So it looks like there's some trading and some stuff going on in the NFL. I still haven't watched because they're still doing their woke shit. And I think that there is an underlying WWE theme going into the NFL, and I think Aaron Rodgers is the heel, and I don't want to be involved in that right now. I really don't. The 4th one that we'll do here will be things you should never Google. Things you should never Google is the hashtag. And there are a lot of weird things out here. Any search that yields this photo, that's weird. Where can I buy uranium? And there comes the FBI coming for him. My husband learned the difficult way not to Google this. Things you should never Google. What's this picture? Fucking A, man. Haha. 42 things you should never Google. But the official list is things you should never Google. 1. Clock spider. 2. Soggy biscuit. 3. Trypophobia. 4. Circle jerk. 5. Blue waffle. 6. Ascariasis. 7. Skin condition. 8. 2 girls, 1 cup. 9. Mucus plug. 10. Peanut dog. 11. Bed bugs on mattress. 12. Spider porn. Just don't. 13. Lamprey eel. 14. Crabs the STD. 15. 2 kids, 1 sandbox. Oh. No. 16. Meat spin. 17. 4 girl. Finger paint. 18. Tub girl. What the fuck? 19. Eel girls. 20. Pain Olympics. 12 is tempting. I will say that. And the last one we will do here will be Pole Assassin. Okay. You cannot make this shit up. The Longhorns just hired Jeff Banks, who left his wife and kids, to be a stripper named Pole Assassin, who has been on Jerry Springer and has a pet monkey who is part of her stripping act. Which core value is this again? Yeah. Yeah. And of course, Pole Assassin's monkey, who performs with her, allegedly attacked a trick-or-treater on Sunday night. Yeah. Yeah, that's about enough internet for the day. I think we're done here. I think we're done. I'm thoroughly disturbed. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, let's get out of here for the day. Let's change up the track and let's do something different. I got to get myself out to work here. I'm thoroughly disturbed at this point. So let's throw some music up and let's go. So, thanks everybody who came by and chatted with us in the live chat, looked at some of the video, looked at some of the stuff we were going over, and kept everything honest there in the chat. And thank you again to Stephen Ignoramus for coming in, sitting in on the Red Net show last night. That was really awesome of you. We will get some new music coming up here in the next season, so it'll be the first Monday after the official start of winter. We will change up the track, and that will become season 4 of the Red Net show, or go back to season 1 of Ed's World again. So, well, I guess we'll see what goes on with that. Otherwise, come back by. Check us out here tomorrow for more contemporary. We will do something that I'm thankful for. And we will talk about the news of the morning. So definitely looking forward to seeing you guys here. I saw some new faces today, so thanks for sticking by and hanging out with us as well. And we'll be back here tomorrow for more. Until then, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.